Hi guys, Julian Khursigara here from Search Party Property. I'm on the Online Prosperity Show, talking with Prosper about all things property investing. We're going to discuss what led me into the journey of property investing, how we build portfolios through strategy for our clients, and how the customer is at the forefront of our thoughts on building a great customer experience, and on the back of that, building great and successful and sustainable property portfolios. See you on the inside.
Welcome to the Online Prosperity Show, where we bring you insights and strategies for building wealth and creating your own destiny. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today I've got a special guest joining us, King Julian. How are you doing today?
Hey, Prosper, I'm great, thank you. Good to be on finally, and good to meet you.
Fantastic. I told you I was going to throw that in for good measure, but I digress. King Julian is not from Madagascar, but he is the co-owner of the buyer's agency Search Party Property, and he's here to share his expertise in data-led tailored property investment strategies all across Australia. Now, he's got a background in customer experience and loyalty marketing, and Julian has harnessed his passion for customer service and data analytics to open doors for property investors in and around Australia. He's also a member of the Property Investment Professionals of Australia, and he's here to let us in on the juicy details of Search Party, buyers agents. Now, Julian, I could go on, and you could start moving it just like King Julian. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to the world of property investment?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that introduction, Prosper. Well, yeah, my journey into property, I guess it initiated firstly if I'm buying my own property some 19 so years ago, not going down, I guess, a great route. Probably what 80% of buyers do, they get brought into a seminar type environment, and they get sold a high-rise apartment with all the bells and whistles, and that was in Sydney, in an area near Newtown. Which at the time was the right thing to do. I was single, thought it was a good place to be. It was going to be an investment, so I was never going to move into it, but it was good to have that backup. So it was bought with quite a lot of emotion, whereas we teach our clients now to be, reduce the emotion or limit the emotion of buying property, because it should be about the commercials and the return on your property rather than, where it's located or what it looks like, or can I drive past it every weekend to look at my property. So yeah, that was my first foray into property investing. And then, I guess then the journey went on: work, life, married, kids. We had our own home, which was in the inner city, west of Sydney. And then, during that period, bought a couple of more investment properties in the early 2000s. And then, kids take over, careers take over. We got really busy. We were able to move overseas as an expats on a journey, which was one of the best experiences of our lives. At 2 young kids, and my wife and I, and that was 3.5 years. And when we got back, it's probably when we get really serious about property. And bought, I think in 1 year we bought 5 properties in 1 year. So that was pre the Royal Commission. So we couldn't do that today because the banks have to behave themselves. But back then there were 1-page loan contracts to sign, and they kept loaning you money. So, looking back to that period of about 2015, if we didn't buy those properties then, we'd be in a very different position today. So, I think one of the key things we often say to our clients, it's about, building your team, but also taking action and actually moving on the property journey.
Fantastic. And what a property journey you have had. And, a lot of people in your space know the theoretical part of owning properties and not actually being or having any skin in the game, at all. What is your view on the current sort of real estate market and the spookers that show up in the space purporting to help people, get up the property ladder?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like most industries, Prosper, but, I guess the real estate industry does have that reputation with those type of, particularly going back. When I started in property investing 19 years ago, there was no podcast like your show. There was, there were books and seminars. That was it. So no internet. We couldn't research like we have now. With, I produce a piece of content, educational, every single day on LinkedIn. You couldn't do that. You couldn't follow someone like me and get educated on property just by watching someone for free. So it was a lot tougher back then, but today I feel the buyers are a little bit wiser. They have got the ability to research. Now, it doesn't say that these sort of spookers don't exist, and they do, and they sort of have that one-stop package and have the financial planner and the accountant and everything together, and use tactics around scarcity. If you don't buy today while you're in a seminar, we'll run out of stock and things like that. But it's a shame, but I think that's why I align myself with associations like PIPA, other property-based associations, having my license in all states, things like that, to just make sure I'm above the game and I do the right thing ethically, and we just focus on that for our business. What others do is out of my control, so I just focus on what we do.
Fantastic. Yeah, you can't control what you definitely cannot control. And I've also noticed that you're very visible on social media, which really sparks my interest as a digital marketer. And, you purport that from day one, you've been really active on social media, providing daily posts and adding value to your prospects or the people that you can serve in the future. Now, how has that sort of thought leadership approach helped you to actually connect with your target audience?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it's something that started way back when the company was founded by Luke Moroney, my business partner. And, Luke's been doing a Facebook Live post every day, I think for almost over 4 years. And that's quite a commitment. And so that's, that one thing builds up a little bit of a community and a tribe, so to speak. And then from the thought leadership side, which is probably the angle I've taken, is being, just building that community. And where I'm not selling to them, I'm just educating and helping them along the way. And that, the best, I think, compliment you can get sometimes, someone say, hey, I've been following you for a year or two and I'm ready to buy now. And that's like, wow, all this hasn't been in vain. People do appreciate it. Or I meet people. I met someone the other day at an event, and hey, I've been following your LinkedIn. It's really excellent. Can we have a chat about, I'm looking to restructure my property portfolio. So things like that are really nice when you hear that. And so the whole idea there was focusing on the professional network. LinkedIn being the only professional network, as opposed to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok now. And so I went for that angle. Coming from a corporate background, it made sense. LinkedIn, I use LinkedIn all the time for work and prospecting. So it felt like the right channel for me to educate through. And obviously we can then reuse those educational pieces across other social media channels as well.
Absolutely. And I really value that, you guys have really come a long way. Did you know I actually interviewed Luke Moroney when he was only just getting started, because he and I had corresponding shows on social media, especially Facebook Live. He would do Facebook Live while he was on his balcony, and I was doing a 30-minute show, and we sort of collaborated on a video like this. So yeah, it's really good to now notice that you guys have really come full circle and created a business that is now serving quite a lot of people. Now, this concept is called progress over perfection. And could you maybe share a few examples of how this mindset has actually now benefited your business? You were mentioning that people would come across you in the public setting and say, hey, because of you, I did not give up. Or, hey, because of you, I now own, a substantial amount of properties, just because they've been seeing your work on social media.
That's funny you brought that quote up. I've actually got a little sign above my computer there which says progress before perfection. So it is something that we focus on, because we can try to want to get the lighting right in a room, like we were talking about earlier, and trying to make sure every single piece of copy we produce or content produce is perfect. But it's really getting it out there and getting started. And Luke would be the first to admit, in his first few videos years ago, there was bad sound and things like that, especially as you said on the balcony in Drummoyne with cars and traffic. But you get better and you get better and get more confident, and he's just excellent at that. And something I'm still learning, the camera. But it is about getting moving and getting started. And one of the acronyms we use actually in our business is turning on your tap. So the T being building your team. So, your financial planner, your accountant, your mortgage broker, potentially your real estate agent or your buyer's agent, like us, to help you build that strategy to build your portfolio. And then the A is for taking action. as I mentioned earlier, it's about taking action and actually buying something, because a lot of people will sit back and procrastinate and want to be the perfect. I can't tell you how many people I speak to every week about, I'm waiting for the market to crash. I mean, they've been saying that for 3 years. So, and if you believe every headline on the press, well, you'll never buy anything, right? You'd be curled up in a ball under your blanket. So, it is important to take action with the research, with the right professionals, and then the P is for having patience. So, property takes time. It's not a get quick rich scheme. If someone wants to make money quickly, then, we might point them towards cryptocurrency or something like that. But property, you do need to have patience and, and let the right times and the right periods of time. And we have cycles and things move together in good harmony over a long period of time.
Fantastic. It's not necessarily about timing the market, but it is about time in the market, right? Now, talking about time and not being able to turn back time, you lost your mom at an early age. And could you just maybe elaborate how losing your mom at that age, and maybe you witnessing her, maybe her unfulfilled retirement dreams, had an impact on the person that you are today? And let us know, how did that sort of shape your perspective on life and motivate you to actually start taking action?
Yeah, no, to reflect back like that. Mum passed away in 2001. So, I was in my late 20s. And during that time, she had motor neurone disease, and that a disease that kind of just shuts you down over a period of years. And I think she had it for 4 years or so. And I think just watching that happen, watching a strong person. My mum was a very strong-willed person. Full-time work, migrants come to Australia with 3 young kids and build a future for their children, right? So she was a very hard-working lady, and taught us the ethics around hard work and wanting to turn up every day and push hard and not listen to too much outside noise and do your best, and things will always happen. But if you sit back and wait, well, nothing much is going to happen. So I guess watching Mum go through that was probably a tough time for me emotionally. It's probably one way of hiding my emotions, or depression maybe could have been through, being at that age, going out a lot, partying a little bit too hard at times and sort of masking it with a few too many drinks. But I think coming out of the back of that loss was probably a new energy and, maybe a shining light looking down upon me. But I think I probably grew up over that time and, then met my wife and, probably just grew up and got settled and really focused on achieving my dreams. And, Mum, like you said correctly, had big dreams about living overseas. And she comes from a tropical, beautiful area in India called Goa, which is down south, which is a Portuguese previously colonized area. So, she was on 6 months there, 6 months in Australia, and all those type of things. Dad was a bit older, so he'd already retired. So she never got to do any of that. So now coming to the similar age, it probably motivated me to achieve a few of my goals, to really go hard at my career, but also balancing that with your friendships, my immediate family, my sisters, being a good friend, just being a good listener, being around. And I kind of work really hard at that. And ensure I try to keep in touch where I can with as many people as I can. And then, when life gets busy, it's hard to balance that with your wife, but also your children, and trying to be a good dad, being involved in their lives. And I have 2 daughters, and so they're now teenagers, but, got involved in netball and committees and all those type of things to just be part of their lives. And I know probably sometimes I embarrass them, but I'm sure in the future they'll be appreciative that I was around. But I think it was more about just achieving and not waiting till I hit retirement before I want to do things. And so one of those things that I always wanted to do, Prosper, was be an entrepreneur and start my own business. And I had the pleasure of working with one of Australia's greatest entrepreneurs in a previous company in that loyalty space, and learned a lot about that, and always wanted to be an entrepreneur myself. And so, got to that stage of, well, do I just keep moving through the corporate ladder and, the golden handcuffs where you're getting very well paid. It's obviously, I miss the business class travel to Europe and all those type of things that come with that. But, I've never been happier in my life in terms of getting up in the morning and really hitting it hard for every single day, working hard for my business. And, then you have a team, so you have more responsibilities and you're paying salaries and wages. So, it's pretty exciting. And it's, it's great to be sharing it with a business partner as well.
Fantastic. And Julian, what would Mum be celebrating with you right now?
I think just, yeah, that I'm achieving, the goals I want to achieve and doing it the right way, using ethics and hard work in our business. And then I guess more celebration probably be just from private life, trying to find that balance with my daughters. She never got to meet my daughters, so I'm sure she'll be pretty proud of them. I got a daughter who's 18 and 16, so yeah, it'd be I'm sure she's looking down, and there's obviously parts of them that I can see and that came from her as well.
Well, congratulations on all your successes. It seems like you are going to be making your daughters proud, even though they're not telling you right now.
Not yet. Now I'm pretty uncool old man, but maybe in the future, yeah.
I have two girls myself as well, and I think in their eyes, I'm only the guy that takes out the garbage. So you can imagine what that looks like. Now, Julian, you've gone on and created something remarkable. You and your business partner, then your agency, Search Party Property. You are obviously offering other people an opportunity to not go through the hardships or any of that misinformation that's out there regarding, property investment and things of that nature. Now, could you explain how this service actually helps property investors create their own destiny in retirement?
Yeah, from the outset for us, it's that word strategy. So, we don't present properties in that first discussion. Initially it's about really understanding the prospect, what floats their boat, what are their goals, what are their aspirations, what are they trying to achieve through property investing? And some people have never thought that far, right? It's Australia's greatest pastime that I can go to a barbecue and say, hey, I'm a property investor and talk about property. So for us, it's really trying to nail that down and understand what we're trying to achieve. Before we start any of the property search, once they become a client, we have a strategy session, which is a good hour, and we work through a lot of information through a slide deck and really try to understand that client. We then do a lot of data, show them a lot of analytics that we're looking at, why we're looking at certain areas, why we think this area would suit them better than that area, the difference between a cash flow to capital growth. So we're not just pushing people into areas or regions that's because the only place that we can sell in. We're actually using data to direct us and help them create that strategy. And then once we build that strategy, we obviously buy the property, hold them through the entire process with our client services team. And then when they come back again, we review that. We don't just go and buy because we want them to buy another property. We review their situation, review their analytics, and then see where we're headed towards that goal. So we had a goal when we initially started, but as you know, in business, you have to have a plan to get there. So when you fail to plan, you're never going to reach that goal. So we ensure that we're continually checking in on that plan and make sure we hit that goal, which let's say it's $200,000 of revenue by the time they're 65 when they're ready to retire. So how do we get there? Is it, some people might say, oh, you got to buy 10 properties in 10 years. We don't subscribe to that. We're more analytical around it. Could be just 4 very good properties. You don't need to have 10 properties.
Fantastic. And obviously you're hand holding all the investors along the way. Now, one thing that I've also experienced while on my investment journey was there's a lot of pockets that you have to fill, or pockets that you have to grease along the way, from your conveyancer, the lawyers, you're probably going to need an accountant. So you're just going to need a whole team around you. And, setting up an investment team is a really big and important step in the whole process. Now, could you share some sort of insights of how you help your clients build their property management team so that the whole process is seamless, as you say, so that they can actually, get the best value for their investment journey?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we do say, we are truly independent from any other source. So we're not receiving, like I use the word, greasing palms or kickbacks. But I obviously work with some really good partners. So if you come to us and say you don't have a broker, well, okay, well, would you like us to introduce you to a couple of people? So we might introduce you to a couple of our brokers that we work with a lot because we know they're good. We know they're property investment savvy, which is really important. Not every broker understands how to build a property portfolio. So we'd recommend them. We ask them to go and interview them and see who you want to work with, and start the ball rolling from there. I mean, finance is important. So having finance is really the king of this whole transaction, because if you don't have finance, We can talk about property all day long, but you can't buy anything. So that's a really big step. And then obviously, your accountant, as you said, again, someone who understands this, a savvy around property investing, because we need to understand the deductions, how we can work that into your portfolio. People talk about building trust. Do you need a trust if you're a pay-as-you-go earner? Do you really need a family trust? Maybe not. Maybe not. No advantage to you. But if you're in a highly litigious industry or business, it might be of an advantage to you to have trust that can protect your assets, but not always required if you're a pay-as-you-go earner. Then you've got self-managed super fund, another lot of red tape around that. So that's where you, again, need a real expert in that to set that up for you, and then making sure you buy well inside that fund and that trust.
Absolutely. And, obviously, if somebody's watching this show right now, Julian, and they're really taken a keen interest in knowing what the search party can do for them, what would be the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Well, I can either probably a great place to start is our website, searchpartyproperty.com.au. We're also all over the socials, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn every day for an educational post at my name, Julian Khursigara. Also, Luke Moroney is a great asset as well if you want to hear about a deal every day, or just his thought process through what's happening in the property market each and every day.
Fantastic. Now, somebody might also be sitting here and thinking, how do you actually manage to tailor, individual needs as you say you would? Because, not everyone is going to want that 10 properties in 10 years sort of strategy that is out there. And every investor is sort of a unique individual in and of their investor attitudes or appetites, and they've got their own, unique goals and motivations. Now, how do you approach, developing personalized investment strategies for your clients?
Yeah, so it's going back to that one step at the start, is getting to understand them as an individual. What is their risk appetite? What are their goals and dreams? We have a lot of our best clients are probably migrants, because they're coming to this country to achieve and to grow and to do something very different that they probably couldn't do back in their home country. So we find they're really motivated, are really wanting to take action and listen and learn. And actually, we often say it's just not a transaction to us, it's actually a partnership. So we want to educate you through the process. We want to walk you through our due diligence report on every property and talk you through the points of data. So obviously, yes, there's a trust element. Trust me, it's a good deal to buy, but also we want to show you why it's a good deal to buy, so you really understand and feel really familiar with the process that we're doing. So that's why that's such a big element for us, to really understand that and then put them through that process. We also use software, one called Game Plans, we use, and Game Plans is a monetary money management tool, and also a portfolio management tool. So we can put in your current situation. We can also edit it throughout the next 10, 20 years. Let's say it's a 20-year plan. We might have private school fees in between there. We might have a redundancy. We might have an inheritance. So we can keep updating that to head to that goal. And if there is a hiccup along the way, which there always is, we can amend that. We can still look at that end goal and say, well, actually, looking at what our plans were here, using compound interest and compound growth, we were going to buy the third property in 2027. Well, because you've lost your job, we'll push that back a year because we won't have that fund. Or, what's happened with APRA being a lot tighter on lending restrictions. So that's made it a bit harder to build these really fast portfolios, which were able to be done pre the APRA Royal Commission.
Fantastic. That's quite an interesting sort of addition, because if you can see further where you're going, it's easier for you to then know what steps you need to take on today in order for you to achieve the goals that you put yourself for. Now, Julian, we've looked at the past on how Luke Moroney on his balcony started Search Party, and we were high-fiving each other while showcasing our businesses back then. And we've looked at where you guys are right now, in relation to the current market, and how you're actually helping your clients achieve their retirement plans without looking towards the government to assist them in the future. Now, looking ahead, you said you've got this game plan tool that helps you focus what people can do. What are your future plans, especially for search party property, and how do you aim to actually make property investment more accessible to a lot more people out there?
Yeah, for us, it's really about keeping our heads down and focusing on what we do well. There are many buyers that you come into the market quickly and grow very quickly using different types of tactics and tools. I guess one of the things we're very big on is consistency. Cut the client service and is a really big deal for us. Someone says to me, what would you have done differently looking back 4 years ago? And one of the things I was really big on was creating our whole client journey. In fact, we hired one of our first full-time hires was a customer service manager, which is not normally what you would do. You'd normally probably look at revenue generating activities like sales and do it that way. But that was so important for me. If we got that client journey right, which we do, and we have, and we're always improving it, it's a huge difference. And so I think we'll be really well known for that. 70% of our clients are from referrals, which says a lot. Again, I think 80% of our clients have, 3 or more properties. So a lot of those things are really important to us, and trying to be more accessible and achievable. So we're not just selling or buying for people with, $3-5 million budgets. We're buying properties for people who just, single mums or single women who just want to get on the property ladder and only have $320,000 to spend. So we can still find them something that's going to be a good investment cash flow wise, for example, let's say in Perth, and be able to do that and move, as opposed to saying, no, you can't buy anything in Sydney because you've got to spend $1 million. This gives people hope, and they can start small to build up that portfolio. And that's probably the most joy I get out of any deal, is watching someone like that, or a young couple just wanting to get on the boat, on the ladder, knowing that they can't do it. They can't buy their dream home in Mossman, but so they can rent in Mossman, become a rent investor, so keep renting and invest elsewhere outside of their what we call borderless investing.
Fantastic. I really, really enjoyed having you on the show today, Julian. I mean, your life story and your experience, coupled with what you're now doing to help people do and have a happier existence, is just remarkable. So thank you so much for your time on the show today.
Thank you, Prosper. I enjoyed myself, and thanks for inviting me.
Fantastic. Now, those that are watching, that concludes our insightful conversation with Julian, the co-owner of Search Party Property. And today we learned about the power of customer focus. As you heard from Julian himself, their first hire was somebody who was customer orientated instead of them going in for the property. All right. And if you notice, their thought leadership and data-driven strategies are really making a dent in the property investment market. And if you were paying attention, you'd notice that Julian's dedication to helping investors build their own destinies has actually made property investment more accessible and achievable for people from various backgrounds. It doesn't matter whether you are just getting started or you actually are, a little bit advanced. You need to get in touch with the team at Search Party Property. And for you to stay connected with Julian and learn more about Search Property, we're going to be putting their details in the show notes below. And be sure to visit their website and follow them on social media. Like Julian says, he does post thought leadership content out there every single day. Now, thank you so much, Julian, again, for sharing your expertise with us today. And thank you, listeners, for tuning into the Online Prosperity Show. And remember, your future financial prosperity is within your reach. You just need to know where to find it. And the first place could be being part of the Search Party. Now, Search Party details will be in the show notes below. Now, stay tuned for more empowering episodes. That'll be it from me and Julian today. Bye for now.